terrified of an Arab Muslim leader who will restore the fighting spirit. Not to kill and to murder, but to have dignity, to have pride in who you are. They want people like Mubarak and King Abdullah and Abbas, the Holocaust denier, not to mention the imbecile. It's power. The Arab responsibility for Gaza depends on what you mean by Arab responsibility. Yes, the governments, the governments are the American pocket, and Mubarak was very happy to see Gaza attacked in 2006. The WikiLeaks showed he was urging the Israelis to attack Gaza, and he wanted to strangle Gaza. But I don't think that speaks to the people of the Arab Muslim world. The level of their willingness to sacrifice, I don't know. But I'm not sure they're under a moral legal obligation to make sacrifices. One wishes, but they're not under an obligation. The obligation is very simple. From a moral point of view, it's Israel's legal point of view. It's Israel's obligation to end the occupation of the Palestinian territories, the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. There was a fourth question, which for some reason I didn't like to throw. What was the fourth question for the person?
The young woman, the Egyptian.
Oh, the possibilities of nonviolence. I happen to think that the Egyptian situation, the Palestinian situation is quite close to the Egyptian one. That there are real prospects for a nonviolent movement forcing an Israeli withdrawal from the occupied territories. It has very real prospects, but the prospects will really depend on the coming into leadership of those who are able and willing to organize a nonviolent movement, which is not easy. It is not easy. It's a very difficult challenge to organize such a movement. I know Tom is going to tell me to make my answer shorter. I know this. But just to say simply, people think that nonviolent movement, we just go out and organize people. No, it's not so easy. I had the occasion to read through Gandhi's collected works. They're quite substantial, 110 volumes, and there are 500 pages per volume. I read about half of them. And the thing about Gandhi that people don't understand is he dug deep roots among the Indian peasantry, the poor. He lived their life. He knew every detail of their life. And that's why he was able to command the respect and the support of the masses of people in India. I am a little skeptical, personally, whether people whose prime vocation in life has been utilizing Facebook and Twitter, whether they can actually achieve a deep-going revolution in Egypt. I think it requires real, in-depth organizing among the people. And it's not enough that you organize a Facebook page and you Twitter every Sunday in order to defeat very formidable powers, not just the U.S., not just the U.S. and Israel, not just those who are the beneficiaries of the Mubarak regime in Egypt, who don't want to give up the good life, the very good life, but it's the whole Western world. They do not want to see a real Egyptian revolution which restores the dignity of the Arab Muslim world. And it requires a lot of organizing in order to defeat their schemes.
Great. Thanks, Nora. script on mine, I wish I'd asked him to make his answers a little shorter. Norm and I have done an awful lot of events like this together. We travel, so we're able to be very honest with one another. My clock says 9:48, and I would really like, out of respect to all of you who've been participating patiently, I'd really like to wrap things up by 10. So why don't we make a deal? Why don't we sort of take 4 questions from either side? And Norm, can you try to do a minute each, or more or less? Let's try to make them as quick as we can. So we'll take 4 from this side and 4 from that side, and we'll wrap up the evening with these when Norm gets an answer. All right, so on my left, yes, go ahead.
Hi, I would like to first thank you for presenting us with this useful information. Well, I, as an Iranian, would like to ask you, on behalf of myself and some of my fellow Iranians in the audience, about the newly released documentary Uranium, if you have any objectives about it, because myself, and I'm sure many others, find the information presented in that so misleading, so like it just presents the information that makes some people who don't know anything about Iran think that Iran is basically a terrorist country.
Good.
Thank you.
We got it. Thanks. All right. Try to make the questions a little bit faster. We're going to be up to 10 o'clock just with questions. Go ahead, sir.
Dr. Finkelstein, thank you again for your presentation. My question was around something you mentioned in your talk about this being this Egyptian revolution being an opportunity for the Arab world to modernize. Could you kindly shed light into what you mean by modernizing? Are you referring to the removal of secular autocratic leaders and replacing them with secular Western liberal values, or are you talking about perhaps more of an organic form of politics which matches the sentiments, overwhelming sentiments of the Arab people, which is Islam? And when you look at the pictures, you look at the videos, you see people praying, you see them being sprayed with water cannons. So you could shed some light on that.
Good. Got it. Thank you. Third question on this side. Yes, go ahead.
I'd just like to see if you can briefly discuss American hegemony in the region, specifically the fact how Egypt and Israel share the throne in terms of U.S. military aid. Did you see that persisting after the Egyptian revolution?
You're going to be able to do that in 1 minute, Norm? Yes, 4th question on this side.
My question are for 2 case studies. One, Turkey. I thought that Turkey had an excellent opportunity after the attack on Flotilla to actually change its relationship with Israel, because while a lot of us felt very sympathetic for the Turkish cause, they are still one of the biggest and strongest relationships with Israel. So in that regard, and the other one is Al Jazeera and Qatar got a lot of press because of their coverage of the Egyptian revolution, but as well, something that not a lot of people know is the strong relationship that's brewing now between Qatar and Israel. So I was wondering if you could comment some on that as well. Thank you.
That's 2 questions. I think that's all we're going to be able to do on this side. So guys, I'm sorry, feel free to take a seat. Yeah, on this side, take the first 4 questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Dr. Finkelstein. My name is Krishna Sarvan. I serve here as the president of the York Federation of Students, and I want to thank you I want to take this opportunity to thank you personally for coming here, especially to this school. It's a politically charged school, especially around this issue. Now my question is, in Canada we're starting to see a new form of McCarthyism, especially around the Palestinian question. And any time, even here on campus, when we talk about Palestinian rights, when we condemn the Gaza massacre, we're often labeled as anti-Semites. I myself have been labeled as an anti-Semite on numerous occasions. So how do you, as a Jewish professor, a pro-Palestinian professor, tell us to move forward and to continue the struggle, both on campus and in broader society?
Thanks.